Hey everybody, Doug here. Today we're going to take a look at my personal 2025 investing goals. So, my goals for the dividend portfolio going into 2025. And before we jump into it, I just want to do a quick review of where we left off in 2024. So, recording at the 28th of December today, but let's take a look here real fast. So, we started the year at about 46,200 ish dollars in January. And we can see that at the time of this recording, anyways, we're at $72,900. So a pretty good return on an investment. We're looking at about a 15.3% return on the money that we invested. So we gained, 6,400. We also earned $1,800 in dividends, just about. And we also contributed quite a bit of money to the portfolio that we can see under the activity if I switch it to deposits and withdrawals only. This goes on all the way back to 2023. You can check out some of the dividend update videos if you want to go into detail here, but I've been contributing $350 every single week into this portfolio, and that is one of the goals that I want to continue going into 2025. Now, if we come back here real fast, the next thing I want to look at is under our holdings and dividend income. So for the year of 2024, just over that $1,800 mark of dividends earned in this portfolio. All dividends are being reinvested directly into the portfolio as well. So we're not doing withdrawals on any of this money. We can see that our average monthly income is just over the $150 mark, which is great. And if we take a sneak peek in the next 12 months, we can see that we're estimated to earn about $2,900. Hopefully we can get this up a little bit further as we continue to invest money into it. But I wanted to just kind of show you the portfolio at a very, very high level and some of the metrics associated with it so we can get some context as we go into the 2025 goals. Let's start with the investing plan. Nothing is really changing here. I still want to continue the $350 weekly contributions to the portfolio, which equals to about $1,400 a month or $18,200 every single year. So that is going to stay exactly the same. The one kind of difference here is that I want to do a much better job of contributing an additional money to the portfolio whenever I can. In full transparency, in 2024, I got a promotion at work. My spending has gotten kind of a little bit outside of the box here. I want to kind of rein that back in and kind of refocus efforts on investing into this next year. So nothing wild, but just kind of a refocus. Now, if we look at our goals for 2025, we've already kind of covered this first one here of the $350 a week contributions. I want the portfolio to grow to $100,000 over the next year. And between the contributions and the average, expected return on investment, I think we'll hit this no problem unless we see a dramatic downturn in the next year. Regardless, I set it to 100K because I think it's very achievable. And it's really important to me when I'm setting goals is to set goals that I have a very high likelihood of achieving because that continues to motivate me going forward. If we look at the dividend goal here, if we jump back to M1, we're already expected to be pretty close to this. I think between our normal contributions and then any additional contributions, I'm hoping we can get this over that 3,000 mark. It might be a little bit of a stretch goal, but I think it's still pretty darn reasonable. And again, all of these goals are meant to be relatively achievable over the next year as much as possible. Reducing the number of holdings. So currently in the portfolio, we have 40 individual holdings inside of it. And it's a lot to manage. It's a lot to mentally kind of keep track of, right? I'm not doing this full time. I really want this to be as passive as possible where I don't have to keep tabs on the portfolio every single day or every single week, right? I don't want to be doing a bunch of research into 40 different companies. So I think one of the goals here should be a reduction in the amount of holdings. I put in here 40 to 30. If I can get 10 positions out of the portfolio, I think we'll be in a much more reasonable state. I'm not setting 30 as like a hard goal here, but I think just getting a reduction overall will be beneficial to us in the long term. So that's one of the goals I have for 2025. The last goal that I have written down here, and this is not so much this isn't so much related to the dividend portfolio completely, but this is for the YouTube side of it where, I want this channel to be successful. I want it to be informative, and I want it to, hopefully help people, right? And part of that is I need to grow the channel, right? So this is grow the channel to 500 subscribers. And you can break this goal down into tons and tons of mini goals, which we might do. But this is stuff like getting good at SEO, search engine optimization, right? To help your videos kind of show up in the algorithm. It's getting better at thumbnails, getting better at speaking, getting better at editing, all of these different things that go into YouTube content creation. And this is a huge, huge, huge list with tons and tons of nuance to it, right? But I think a 500 subscriber count is probably achievable. If we fall short of it, we fall short of it. This is really the one and only stretch goal I have in the 2025 goals so far. And this is mostly because it's a bunch of learning, right? It's a bunch of understanding YouTube, how to get your content shown, experimenting, all these good things, right? And part of this is also receiving feedback on the content that I create. So if you have suggestions on videos, suggestions of improvements I can make to videos, this all contributes to this goal, right? Moving on from the goal aspect of it, it's not a ton of goals, right? And this is kind of on purpose as well. As I don't want so many goals that it becomes overwhelming. I want a very focused effort in 2025. So to review in 2024, these are all of the dividend payouts that I received per month with the monthly average and then the total at the bottom here. So you can see that 1829 figure. December obviously being the best month. This is when SCHD pays out. You can see kind of the big bumps in income whenever SCHD pays out. But we broke $300 for the very first time in the portfolio, which is great. Obviously, we want to see all of this increase over the next year, and as long as things go according to plan, it all will increase. So 2025, we want to grow this from this $1,800 mark to $3,000, right? So I guess you could extrapolate that out and probably say a monthly average of $300, I think is where that kind of falls, somewhere around there. And then we'll continue to track our 2025 dividend payouts as they come in. We'll probably break this up into smaller slices. So we might have a slide specifically for January, one for February, one for March, and then this slide will end up being kind of the year in review slide at the end of the year. But this is just a way to track the payouts as they come in and make it very legible, hopefully. And obviously, if you have suggestions on this, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. The last slide that I have prepared here is just that reduction in holdings slide. So these are some of the holdings that I've been looking at as far as reductions go. So this isn't conclusive. I haven't settled on any of these necessarily, but they're just ones that I want to write down and start doing some due diligence on. Which might end up being a video, who knows. There's probably going to be additions to this, obviously. If we want to get down to 30, we need a lot more than 4 holdings here to get up on the chopping block. But some of the other ones that I've been kind of eyeing are the telecom stocks, just because they're relatively flat in the long term. I want things in the portfolio to both grow the principal and pay out a dividend that also has a good growth associated with it, right? So I'm okay with having a lower dividend yield, but a higher appreciation over the long term. Because we're looking decades out, right? We're not looking a year or two. And I'm still working, right? So I don't need to live off dividend income now. So those really high yield holdings aren't really necessary for the portfolio. So if we jump back in here real fast before we end out the video, I'm trying to keep it relatively short, just so it's easy to consume here. We can take a look at all of our holdings, and we'll sort it by unrealized gain. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, we can see that Stag and O are definitely leading the pack as far as being in the negative and the red for us. I'm still okay with this. These are both REITs, and REITs got hit really hard with the news that the Fed put out around rate cuts, and just December in general has just been a pretty red month, as it were. So I'm still pretty confident in both these positions. I don't really want to cut either one of them. In fact, I look at both of these as buying opportunities more than anything else. If we look at the rest of the list down here, we're looking at Pfizer, which I believe I had on the slide that we looked at previously. And this is mostly just if I go into Pfizer, for example, and I look at a 5 year of this, you can see over the last 5 years, it's actually down 32%. And again, right, like I need to do due diligence on this. Obviously, they did really well in a certain, time frame here, but I need to do due diligence on it. But this number scares me a whole lot. And I want all of the holdings, like I said, to appreciate over time. I'm less concerned about the immediate dividend payout and more concerned about the long term growth. So another one here is Verizon. And similarly, if we jump this out to 5 years, it's also down, right? Like that 35%. So this is kind of what I'm looking at when I'm doing my initial kind of selection of holdings. But it's not the whole picture, right? I still need to go in. I need to do a lot of research into all these companies and kind of see where I'm at with all of them. So, just to review very quickly the investing goals of 2025. Continue with the contributions, $350 a week for the entire year, which we did that in 2024, right? So I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that again in 2025. We want to make additional contributions whenever necessary. We spoke about that a little bit, kind of rein in the spending a little bit and reallocate resources to that long-term growth strategy. All of that will hopefully grow the portfolio to $100,000, which I think is very doable given where we're at and how much money we contribute and the expected growth rate of the underlying holdings. Grow the annual dividends to $3,000. Again, I think this is very doable. We're actually kind of almost there. So we might add a stretch goal here. We could say maybe 3,200 would be the first stretch goal. We want to reduce the number of holdings, which we just spoke about, right? So the portfolio is a little bit bloated. There's a lot of different companies in it. I'd like to reduce that just to make it more manageable long term. And then the last one is grow the channel to 500 subscribers, which you can actually help with right now by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment about what your goals are for 2025, what kind of stuff you're expecting the market to do, and just some of your maybe a personal goal as well, not related to investing, if you feel comfortable doing that as well. But that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was somewhat informative, and if not, hopefully it was entertaining. That's all I got for you for today. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.